That's my data project, and it's on squirrels in Central Park. I thought that this data is really fun and cute because it's about squirrels. So I really wanted to explore it, and I'll show you my result. So I took the data from the NYC Open Data website. So I started by importing my data with pandas to make it look clear and organized. And so here you can see my data set. So after that, I sorted out my values in the column shift because I wanted the AM instances of seeing squirrels go first, and then instances of seeing squirrels in PM hours to go after it. And then I decided to isolate the days. So at first, because the data set says it's 2018 data set, I saw that it's taken the whole year. So like start in January 1st, 2018 and end in December 31st, 2019. And then when I tried to first do it, because I wanted to first look at the data set from March to September, and then I realized that it's actually only looking at November. And starting November 6th, the data starts. So I decided to look at the first 10 days of the data. But I took like from the 1st of November to the 16th of November, but it still starts on the 6th. I just thought it is more convenient and doesn't change anything pretty much. So here's my data. It's still pretty big. And then I wanted to make the dates in ascending order. So starting with the 6th of November and ending the 14th of November. Yeah, because the 10th on the 14th of November. So when I sorted out my values, I was quite confused because I wanted to sort out both shift and date simultaneously, and then I realized I couldn't because like they're kind of connected. I don't know why I didn't think about it right away, but anyways, so I decided to treat them separately. So I have a separate data set for where my shift is sorted where my dates are sorted. So here we go. So then I decided to actually look at how these dates are connected. So like how many squirrels we see on a particular day on AM hours and on PM hours. Because I thought it might be interesting because maybe there are more people in the park in PM hours, and maybe it affects how often we see squirrels. That's what I thought. But in fact, my hypothesis was quite right, because over the course of the data, so over the course of 10 days, squirrels, there were more noticed squirrels in PM hours, which is 1,301 squirrels, rather than in AM hours. And on AM hours, we saw 1,081 squirrels. My tongue doesn't want to listen to me. Sorry. So then I created a dictionary that tells me how many squirrels we saw on a particular date. And it turned out that we saw a lot of squirrels, more squirrels than over the course of this period on the 7th, on the 14th, and on the 13th, which is funny because the 7th and the 14th are both Wednesdays. So maybe, I don't know, we could think of something that made squirrels come more often on Wednesdays. Maybe more people would come to the park to feed them or something. But that's just my guesses. So further on, while exploring this data, I would really like to explore how many squirrels actually we saw on a particular day on AM hours and on PM hours, which I didn't know like how to do with the set of knowledge that I have right now. So I only looked at how many we have on PM hours over the course of the whole period, and then how many we have during the day on AM plus PM hours. So then I created this other, so I isolized 2 columns, which are shifts and this squirrels number, to look at how many squirrels there appear on a particular hour, which is like PM and AM. I tried to graph this, and I left this on purpose because when I tried to graph this, I got a graph, but my scope of data is too big for the graph to be actually beautiful. And I tried to even take one day, and it still was too big. So then I'll show you what I did with this data a little bit further on. So that's just another piece of data that I made, which kind of takes the date and the number of squirrels, and also shows how that works, kind of sheds a light on this relationship. And then I decided to check if my data has NaN values. So I used the Seaborn, and it showed me what columns have the most NaN values. And I realized that all the columns that I used before don't have any NaN values, so I could use them without any problem. But then I checked this after I made the Seaborn graph to make sure that I didn't make any mistakes before that. So after that, I deleted the columns that I didn't plan to use and that had the most NaN values, which are these, basically, these four. And then for the other ones, I just filled the NaN values was not specified, but I left one behind, which is above ground cider measurement, just because I wanted my second Seaborn graph to look more beautiful and to represent it more clearly, but I could easily take it away with the code that I wrote in here. And so this is the Seaborn graph that I got after I cleared my data. So here, actually, with the data that I used before, I took the average squirrel number on AM and PM hours, and it turned out that there is no actual difference. So, and here I took a look at how many squirrels of adult and more younger squirrels we see. It turns out that there are more younger squirrels, and I don't know, maybe this question sign could be baby squirrels, I don't know. But I think that could also be a NaN value, but Seaborn doesn't qualify it as a NaN value. So then I made the graphs. So this is a pie graph I made for my first set of data, just to represent that there are equal rounded number of squirrels on AM and PM hours over the course of the data that I chose. Then this is the graph that shows how many older and younger squirrels we have. Then I use a dictionary to look at how many squirrels of a particular fur color we have in our sample. So it turns out that we have lots of gray squirrels, cinnamon squirrels, black squirrels, and we have lots of NaN values. And it's like the primary fur color. And then I plotted in a scattered graph, and I also changed the font and added a title, which I think look pretty cute. Then I represented in another graph, which is a bar graph, just to give it another representation. Then I made another dictionary, but with the class that I called color. I initialized the values. I created the function that assigns to a color number of squirrels that have this color. So here are my squirrels. Right. So here is the dictionary a little bit more detailed than the primary color, which is a highlight color. And I just like to see how it goes from really broad to more detailed. And it adds more values. So here I tried to import and install word cloud, which took me a while, but I did it. So here I think it asked me to upload some new version, but I didn't do it yet. And so now I use the word cloud to create this beautiful picture of how many highlight fur color squirrels we have. Right, and here is the most detailed dictionary that shows how many combinations of primary and highlight color squirrels we have, which I think it's pretty fun how it becomes more detailed and more detailed and more detailed in terms of the fur color. I think another interesting concept of this data set would be the interaction. It's also like says whether the squirrels interacted with humans, which also would be really fun to analyze. So this set of data also represented in this scattered graph, which was actually good, except for these names were kind of too big, so they became this solid line. So here are resources that I used. I matplotlib. Right, the resources from matplotlib to figure out the word cloud and the scattered graphs. And I used the Stack Overflow to realize how to download the word cloud. So I really enjoyed working on this project. Because it really showed me what parts of data I want to focus on and what parts of data are explicitly interesting to me and that I have questions about, to elaborate on them and to use the things that we've learned to answer the questions I might have about the data and to analyze it the way I like. It was really fun. And I think that there are a lot of funny assumptions we can make about Central Park squirrels right now. But if I'm being really serious, it really helped me a lot to understand the concepts of data analysis further on. Thank you.